Hey guys, so today we will be learning about a very important concept which is called rendering. So, rendering is basically, how our content is being rendered onto our screen. So, that is called rendering, and the exact word for this is critical rendering path. The exact path which our HTML, CSS, and JavaScript takes to render onto the screen. Why we should do that? Because we want to render it onto our mobiles, so it should render fast. That is the simple thing. That's why we are concerned about CRP, how it is rendered, and the reason is that we want to render it fast. Other important reason is, suppose on Amazon or any other website, on any other websites, when we go, any customer goes, they want to view the page as soon as possible. See, they want to view the page as soon as possible, but when you go and inspect, yeah, when we go and inspect the, we will see 100 things loaded already loading. So the reason is, see, many things are still pending, but we can able to see the website. So the real thing is that the website takes a lot of time to render, but still people can go, see, and click certain things on the website. It is for use immediately for the user. It's still loading thousand things, but in the middle only I clicked and it went to the other things. So let's understand critical rendering path. I hope you understood why it is required. It is required for rendering the websites fast. So for understanding critical rendering path, I have created a document how it works. So first is download HTML. Second one is parse HTML. When HTML is parsed, then DOM is built. So I have done a small, this thing research for this particular, so this thing website. So when HTML is parsed, when this HTML code is parsed, it turns into DOM, and when CSS code is parsed, it turns into CSS DOM. So, and both of them are then combined, and then it forms a tree. This is particularly a tree where everything ID is footer and class is container. It will go and see the container. Then the whole rendering tree is formed, and then it is painted onto our screen. So this is the whole process. And the thing is, yeah, so CSS is downloaded, HTML is parsed, and then they are combined to form the render tree, and they are painted onto the screen. So we have to find how soon it is painted, which CSS or which JavaScript is the cause for not, or for, is for, causing a delay into the paint. That is the only thing. And these three things, preload, prefetch, pre-connect, and two more things which we will learn later, is used to optimize our JavaScript code or the files for getting downloaded or getting it downloaded in the background, like it happened in the Amazon site. Okay. So preload is for the fonts, hero image, critical CSS, and JS. And how to use it in the link or the file which we want to download this particular font, we have to use rel preload. Prefetch is basically for future navigation. In below, we will see the whole, a table of how we have to use which one. So pre-connect is for this one. It is also used for fonts only. And rel print differ is basically for all the JavaScript load script in the background. So most of the JS files we have to do it, because it happens only when HTML is parsed. So we have to use differ. Async is basically loads in the, but it has no order of guarantee. It loads in the background, but order is not guaranteed. So that is the thing. For analytics tracking, it is used for those things. How to use it is very simple. You have to just use rel and do pre-connect. For last two things, differ and async, we can directly put it there only. We don't need anything. So it is like this thing. Async is like this thing. So this is like this. So preload is like using this thing, prefetch is like using this thing, pre-connect is using this thing, differ is using this thing. So preload is like load critical resources font, prefetch is load future resources, pre-connect warm up external domains, this thing, differ JS after HTML parsing most JS, async just JS that doesn't depend on DOM analytics etc. So it's for that, and it is like that. So This is the waterfall model. So suppose for that we have to go to network tab. We have to right click here. We have to select waterfall. Then we will be able to see the waterfall model. Then we have to see how our files are getting downloaded here where I am getting pointed. This is the stall time, this is the download time, and this is the render time. So this will show how and in which order our files are being getting downloaded. So this is how it is. So let's go to our document. So CRP mainly, in 3 dev tools. So network panel I showed how it works. Performance, parsing, etc. We can go and see and do. Network panel, go to the heart of the CRP, right click, inspect, go to this thing, analyze HTML document, size, theme, waterfall. We can see all those things. Like here is what CSS, this thing, all those things is there. We can go here, we can search for this, but mostly we don't need HTML document for optimization. We only need CSS files. CSS files, we can see the size, we can see the time. Everyone is within our range. No one is taking more time. So CSS files are good. Large file, multiple files, we can go and look for CSS files. We can go for C and JS files also, which if anyone is taking more time. So there is one web worker, we can work on that, and we can see initial connection, it is taking some time, but it is a web worker which runs in the background. Other files are not taking much time. So we can go and select, and we can see the time, the content, how much time it is taking, 300 milliseconds this time. We can go and see all those things, and we can add all these things which we learn. Code splitting also we can do. High blocking. Code splitting means dividing a component to download into a different bundle. We can do that. We will learn it into our CSS, sorry, JavaScript course. Sorry, into React course, which is. So waterfall tells which resources loaded in which order, which resources blocked, which resources slowed your CRP. So after going through this, going to all, and we will be able to see which resources load our CRP. We will find that this website is actually so here when we will come, we will when we click, we can find the stall time, we can find content download, waiting for the server response, request sent. So all these things we can find which all files caused the delay. When our page is not getting loaded, we can easily be able to find it out. Going back to my document. So what to look for is long purple bars, long blue bars, long green bars. So when we go here, we see blue bars are there, green bars are there, but they are fairly very very small. So I don't know in this particular website there is much chance to find this thing, but I'm just telling how to find it out, like how to analyze. Performance panel is there. We can go to performance panel. Performance panel also is, I have run it, I think, for performance panel here. Yeah, so performance panel I have done. I think doing in this performance panel is possible, but it will take time. So let's see into the performance panel what we can do. So here is summary. It will say scripting, how much time it takes for rendering, messaging, painting. It will give a detailed time of everything. So this is how it is. So painting doesn't take much time. Here we can take the paint, contact form, how much this particular thing took, begin work, run console task. So these all things we can see. The contact form is our form basically, which, and so similarly we can see everything here, how much time it took, and all those things. Create task, how much time it took, Actually, I started seeing contact form because it take 2.1 millisecond. This is our a component, so that is the reason I start looking into it. But you can lay out how much time it took. So these all things you can go into it and see. You can go to the tree and see event logs also are there, so it will give a detail for each event. This is performance. There is also called lighthouse. Lighthouse will give a detailed of everything. Performance. First contentful paint is like the first thing which is painted onto the screen is first contentful paint. Largest contentful paint means the biggest item which is there, biggest DOM content which is needed to be painted. We can all check out here. Later on, I will be showing how I am doing it for a big website like an e-commerce website for a digital platform. So hopefully it will be a great help. Then going back to my source. DevTool performance, main thread activity, recalculate style, layout, paint. So these all I showed, right, like how to see the layout, the paint and all those things. Too much JavaScript code split. If there is huge CSS, we have to reduce. So these are the steps to basically find out which files need to be make smaller. Yellow is for scripting, purple for rendering, green for painting, which was there in the this performance tab. So the summary will be see painting green and rendering this thing, yellow for scripting. So this is what it is saying here. Too much purple green rendering bottleneck. So we have to see how which is what. So reduce DOM nodes, this thing. Coverage tab, find unused CSS and JavaScript, three dots. Bootstrap 90% unused, Tailwind. So typical example is when we are using a library. So how it is there? How I mean so fix Spurs, CSS, TreeShake JS, move heavy libraries to dynamic import. So these heavy libraries cause these kind of bottlenecks. So in a big project, you will see like 40% of Tailwind is unused. Bootstrap is 90% unused. Only 4 5 things are used. So people prefer not to use them and use lightweight libraries. So Lighthouse audit I showed, right, the performance one and everything. We can go here. We can go to Lighthouse. We can see performance, accessibility, best practices. We can click SEO. We can see what all things we need to improve. We can click on show. So it is fairly simple. Again, going to this thing, rendering tab for analyzing all those things, large files, CSOM render tree, all those things is there. So this is how it is. So this is basically how it is painted. So it is basically CRP is basically how fast your page become visible, how soon user can interact, like I showed in the Amazon example. So I hope I showed right. Yeah, I in this video only I have showed. And why CSS blocks rendering, why large images delay LCP. So this is how it is. So DOM is like HTML body, all these things is when CSS OM is all these things, and then they are both added and they make a render tree, and then CSS parsing. So these are basically the same thing which I told. So yep. So this is basically the exactly same steps, but animations and all those things they also affect performance of our page rendering. So those also we have to improve, reduce and all, do several changes. We can do it using these five place 5 tabs: network, console, timeline, all these things we can do and do it. First contentful paint, is there. So this is also there. So size of the file, this all things is there. So can do that. This they are showing for the performance. I showed you already. This is for also for the performance. That is also the main. So bottom up how it shows summary, call tree, event log, all these things told. So, so it is. First contentful page, I mean this is a metric, like earlier it used to take 2.9 second, but now the new time is 1.1 second, other we will lose the customer. LCP was 4.5 but it is reduced to 2.2. This is the bottle, I mean the maximum amount we should be doing it for our websites. So time for interactivity, which means how soon we are doing, so it should be 4 seconds. Earlier it was 5.5. So for good websites this is the new thing, and when we do our analysis we should keep this matrix in mind of 1.1 second, 2.2 seconds and 4 seconds. So the project we will be making on React and Node.js, we will be basically taking into account all those things. This is an example which I have put for the sampleblog.com, and the time it takes for each of the pages to load. So exactly, I mean it is almost the same thing. When we play around with these things we will be able to get a hang of it. So guys, please like, share, subscribe this video, and hopefully you will uh, be a part of the project when we will create using React and Node, and we will do all these steps and make our digital platform more you know, fast and accessible to